Nina sat at her desk in the health supplements company, organizing product catalogs while sipping her morning coffee. At 30 years old, she had built a comfortable life for herself, a stable career, a cozy apartment, and most importantly, her cherished independence. Marriage wasn't part of her life plan, but explaining this to her traditional family was another matter entirely. Every Chinese New Year's Eve was the same routine. The moment she stepped into her parents' house, the interrogation would begin. "Nina, when are you getting married?" Aunt Lucy would ask, barely waiting for Nina to take off her shoes. "Such a pretty girl, why are you still single?" Uncle Tom would chime in, shaking his head disapprovingly. Her grandmother would always add, "I want to see my great-grandchildren before I get too old." Year after year, Nina would politely smile and give vague answers like, "Maybe someday," or, "I haven't met the right person." But the questions kept coming, making what should have been joyful family gatherings feel like uncomfortable interviews. One day, while having lunch with her best friend Sarah, Nina vented her frustrations. "I just wish they'd understand that marriage isn't for everyone," Nina sighed, stirring her noodles absent-mindedly. Sarah looked thoughtful for a moment. "Why don't you turn it around on them? Make them see your perspective in a way they can't argue with." That's when Nina had an idea. The next Chinese New Year's Eve, when the usual questions started, Nina was ready. As her relatives gathered around, Aunt Lucy predictably asked, "Nina, dear, you're not getting any younger. When are you planning to get married?" Nina smiled warmly and replied, "You know, I've given this a lot of thought. I believe marriage is such a sacred commitment that it shouldn't be rushed into just because of age or social pressure. My work at the health supplements company has taught me something important. Just like how we carefully choose the best ingredients for our products, I believe we should be equally careful about life decisions. Would you want me to marry someone hastily just to meet a deadline?" She continued, looking at her grandmother with genuine affection. "Grandma, you and Grandpa were married for 50 years because you chose each other carefully and built a strong foundation. You've always taught us that quality is more important than speed. That's the kind of wisdom I'm following." The room fell silent. Her grandmother's stern expression softened into a proud smile. "Besides," Nina added cheerfully, "right now, I'm focused on building my career and taking care of all of you. Isn't it wonderful that I can spend my time and energy making sure you're all healthy and happy?" Her uncle, who had been about to make his usual comment, closed his mouth and nodded thoughtfully. From that day forward, something changed. The marriage questions at family gatherings became less frequent and eventually stopped altogether. Nina had found the perfect response, one that showed respect for traditional values while firmly establishing her own choices. She hadn't just avoided their questions, she had helped them understand and accept her perspective. As Nina drove home that night, she smiled to herself. By framing her choice in terms of their own values, careful consideration, quality over speed, and family dedication, she had finally found peace with her family while staying true to herself. The next Chinese New Year, instead of asking about marriage, her relatives asked about her recent promotion and her plans to expand the company's organic product line. Nina had succeeded in shifting the conversation from what she lacked to what she had achieved, and in doing so, she had helped her family see that there are many different ways to live a fulfilling life. 单字 interrogation 讯问审问 noun a process of asking someone a lot of questions for a long time in order to get information, sometimes using threats or violence. Sacred 有指应与神有关而神圣的 adjective considered to be holy and deserving respect, especially because of a connection with a god.